Hey, how you doing? Sorry for not being able to meet with you. I hope this works out. But what you're talking about has been part of the discussion for like centuries. The value of an education. There's there's a lot to go back to. Education at sometimes has been so controversial that people have been like arrested. If you think Galileo and Copernicus and things like that. So how do we narrow that down? What's the scope of what we have to choose from? Those are big questions. So let me show you three things that you can do to manage those things. So let's go to Google first thing. When you go to Google, there's billions of different things. But the great thing is out on the open web, there's argument and debate and rhetoric, but importantly, points that people make. So let's look at this. Oh, and by the way, I have notes. So I'm going to start with like relevance. That might even be a good one. Relevance. But also we can look at the history of like how much it's cost, how the educational attainment. Oh, that might be a good one to put in. That's not something we would know right off the bat, but it's something that can show up in the census data. Let's do that one first. So if we go educational attainment, Utah, this is something that's published and has been for a long time. And here you can see among Utah adults aged 25 or over, 93% were high school graduates, which is fascinating that 7% of the population of Utah, citizens of Utah, don't have a high school degree. And 34% had a bachelor's or advanced degree. Not too long ago, that was like 26%, then 28%. So these are the highest numbers like ever. How do we find stuff like that? I'll show you in just a moment if you're interested. But you can also do educational attainment, Utah, maybe history, and it'll give you like, well, everyone's interested in educational attainment because it's a quantitative factor that you can look. Oh, Utah history in 1910. Oh, okay, that one might be good. You can see a history of it. Education in Utah and what people value, attitudes, perceptions, all sorts of stuff like that. There's going to be a lot to pick from. So you have the luxury of saying, this is the one that I'm most interested in. Let's see what is. Oh, yeah, look at that. There's even by county. The U.S. Census covers this data, so you should be able to go in. But you can see by county the highest levels of educational attainment. Looks like Summit County. Oh, they call it Morgan County. Summit County, 94. Morgan County, 98. Washington, 92. And you can see some of the other places are lower. You can have all sorts of questions about why is that, what could cause that to happen, what could change it, and so on and so forth. This is like a deeply looked at topic. Having said that, how do we get around other information? Let me go do my demo on Google. If you go to Google, there's like billions of things out there. And if you put in like education attitudes, education attainment, value, you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff. How do you narrow that down like an advanced search is what I want to show you. You can put in anything, value of education, college, higher education, whatever you want that context to be. And then if you put a colon, you can put debate or attitudes or pro-con, and you can find a lot of good stuff. Let's do debate. That tends to show both sides of an issue. Is college education worth it? Procon.org, this is kind of like a debate topic site. Looks like value, worth. Let me go back. Relevance or value or worth. I'm holding down keywords as we go. Value, so worth. So a lot of this is going to be going on, and you could go back into historic documents and look at this as well. I'll show you how to do that as well. College education, very important. Oh, Importance. Why am I getting all these keywords? I'll show you. So once you've gotten some of the things you're looking for out on Google, like who's talking about this, what are some of the main talking points, then you can go in to the library catalog and you can start doing more advanced searches in scholarly literature and things in an academic library. And so after this, we'll focus on like very scholarly stuff. So we kind of go from open web to kind of a mix to like really focused. But it's good to get an idea of like what are people talking about and the words that they use. So let's do, I'm even going to copy this. College or higher education. And I don't think it matters if it's a capital C or not. This matters if it's an or. So what this will do, if I search for this, is it's going to go through the 70 to 100 million things in the library catalog. It's not comprehensive. It's kind of like a little mishmash of everything. There's 23 million results. So what it's doing is it's going and it's looking in the title, the abstract, descriptions, subjects, and things like that. And it's returning everything with those words. Pretty amazing that it'll do that fast. And it's looking for the word college. And then after that, it's going back and looking again, and it's looking for higher education, and it's giving you a big pile of both of those. By the way, I stuck higher education in quotes, so those two keywords stick together. So it's not higher here in education there. You could also do university and things like that, but I think higher education is typically what they talk about, or college education. What's our next concept? Well, I think we're looking at how relevant or valuable it is. So I have an or in between each one of these. So now, do you see these 26 million results? What it's going to do now, out of all of those results, is it's going to look for either relevance or value or worth or importance. But on this one, I want it to be, I don't want the and or not. I want it to be in the title. So I don't want stuff where it shows up somewhere. I want it to be the most important thing of the article. Maybe we should do that with this one too. Let's have this one be in the title. So that'll narrow it down. 26 million, that's too much to go through. What do we get with this? Still 17,000. So I'd put relevance, value, worth, or importance, and none of those are in this one. Did I put title? Yeah, I put it in the title. How interesting. I wonder why it didn't search in the title. Normally it would. And if it got thrown off by my capital R, I don't know. Let's see if that makes a difference. No, we still got 17,000 results. That's bizarre. It shouldn't do that. Be that as it may, we can do that in other databases as well. So let's move on. Let's go to, I'm going to move my head. Let's move to like what's going on right now. So I said this has been talked about for some time. What's going on in like the last 4 years? So let's do 2019, last 3 years. So it's, again, this is going to be going on forever with lots of discussion. And here we still have 2,000. So now we can narrow, so there's books in here and there's reform and things like that, but we can narrow it down to peer-reviewed articles only. Then we have 675. So there's magazines and newspapers in here as well. And now this is more sustainable to go through, and you can find scholarly articles where they're talking about this. It might be very tightly focused things, so African philosophy. Quality, so it might be from specific places, so like Norway, Greater Bay Area, all these different things going on that you can go into. If you find one that looks really good, so here's the perception of higher education teachers on the relevance of competencies. That's not what we're looking for. Let's do this one. Say this was a good article. All those subjects that are written, you can go in here and you can see none of them are exactly what we're looking for, but if you just wanted to go into higher education or quality, that sort of a thing. And the resource itself is citable. So there's APA, but you can go down to MLA. There's the citation. And the resource is also viewable through this link to online resource. Somebody's calling me. Forgive me. Uh-oh. It says no full text available. Then you go down and for that one you would have to request it via interlibrary loan. If there's a moment where you want something like that, just let me know. I can help you track it down. That wasn't the best example. But you can use the library catalog to go through those things. Hope it goes to message. Okay, the next thing to comb through is databases. So when we look at this, how relevant is education? What is educational attainment over the years and its value and things like that? How we can look through history, we can look through current public policy where they're debating things like that, and we can look at education. When you go through the catalog, you're kind of like all over the place, discipline-wise, which is good because you can kind of throw it all together. But we can go into specific databases. So if we want to go into the discipline of education, we could do a search in education full text. And we could do the same search that we did before. College or higher education. And then relevance, value, worth, or importance. And this one's only education, so of course they're going to be like, of course it's worth it. Promoting the relevance and value of specific classes. What about us? You can come up, these articles go back 110 years, so you can come up to the current years. Oh, still 28,000. What if we click on scholarly peer-reviewed journals? Okay, we might have to add more. You might have to say, is it economic? There we go. Is it economically valuable? Is it socially valuable? Or is it value for the community? Is it environmentally valuable? There's all the different angles that you can go in. It looks like there's no... Oh, maybe I misspelled. Oh yeah, I spelled it environmentally. So you may have to focus deeper when you're in the education. Education full text, a good one. If we wanted to look at public policy, let's go to PAIS. So there's no major subject heading for this, but I know that this database is really great. And let's, instead of putting educational attainment, how about we use something that you put in? I think you've said this, value of education. So these are lawmakers and things like that. And you can see when it's been written. And there was a peak discussion on that in like 2010 onwards, so this current century. Look at that. Oh my gosh. They have quantitative evidence that if you get more education, you live longer and you have reduced disability. PAIS looks at some of those metrics that you wouldn't normally think about. There's gender disparity, healthcare outcomes. PAIS might be better than the education one. Caregivers' narratives. And this is all just from the last 3 years, or last 10 years rather. And you can see when it was challenged the most as well. So 2020 and 2019 is when it was talked about the most. Leading up to that, the previous year was in 2012. And again, these, oh, it helps rural areas too. Neat. I think it's a common good. I think it'd be difficult to find anyone saying that it wasn't worth it to have education. It seems like this has been well studied. But here's all the subjects. But on this one, how do you get a citation? There's a citation right there. How do I get the full text of the article? There's that View It, Find It button. And it goes back to the library catalog and says, look for it in this database. And there you should get the full text of the article. The last database I want to show you, oh, it didn't get it. I just have a bunch of articles in Spanish now. Let me know if you can't track something down. Normally it's a lot easier than it's been going this time. The last one is a really great one. Oh, you know what you could do for the historic ones? You could also go back in time and look at the older articles and see what they talked about. It seems like the value of education was a good one. So let's go to one of our historic databases called JSTOR. This one goes back into the 1800s for its articles. I want to look up value of education in quotes because I want those keywords to stick together. Value of education. And on this one, okay, so we have 5,000 results. What does that do for me? But since this one goes back way far, I want to sort it by oldest first. State of education in Scotland in the 1820s. This is like deep, deep, deep history. So you may have to cruise through these. Yeah, look at there. There's a system, sketch of a plan for a national education for Ireland. And it's 1828. So you can see, why are they talking about this? Are we bringing our country out of poverty? Are we moving towards the industrial age? So if you wanted the historic stuff, look at that. Taxes on knowledge. What a wonderful rhetoric from 1831. Whoa, that's great. Okay, you can also do value of education and the deliberate word history, and you'll find scholars who talk about that particular topic. And let's go from, we're back into the newer stuff again. So there's like textbooks, curriculum, history education. So let's see, are we close? Oh, the cost of education. Price, attendance, oversaturation. You could do cost and tuition. There'll be analyses of that in the education database that are probably better. There's even, does education pay? Here's from 2014. So you can see what's the economic value, cost implications, tuition. Hopefully you can wend your way around these things specifically, and hopefully there'll be more things that you can just choose your favorite from. But let me know how it goes. And I'm happy to keep going with you, but I think we're off to a good start.